Hi everybody, welcome back to the Imagine Wellness Kitchen. I'm Tracy and this is Michelle. We're going to cook some, or not even cook really, we're doing very little cooking, but we're going to put together some vegan week friendly meals for you today. So what's on the menu?
On the menu today is the sprout squash medley, a chia pudding, a salad bowl, and a salad dressing.
Okay, so we don't have a mocktail. We usually start with a mocktail, but you can certainly do that. You can look on one of our previous videos for one of those recipes. Michelle's going to start today with the Brussels sprouts and squash.
So what I have done already, I've prepared some of the Brussels sprouts. You can get them in a bag, organic. All you need to do is cut off the end and then split it in half. So that's your Brussels sprout. Cutting off the end in half, and one more. Okay, as you're cutting it, some of the leaves will fall off. Go ahead and incorporate that in your bowl.
If you don't think that you're a lover of Brussels sprouts, I encourage you to try this recipe. When you roast them, or really any vegetable for that matter, it changes the whole flavor profile. And these little leaves get really crispy and crunchy, and they are fabulous.
Yes. To that, I'm going to add, and this is pre-cut, which I really recommend that you use. There's the butternut squash little cubes. You can get these at H-E-B. And just go ahead and just pour that on in there.
Trader Joe's sells these as well. And if you'll notice, we did not get these organic. And that's one of the things that we often tell people is it can be very expensive to buy everything organic. So it's a great tip. You know, we're not eating the rind or the skin, the outer part of the squash. So the inner part, this is where you can make a traditional choice or conventional and not spend the extra money.
So to that, I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil. Just enough to get it coated lightly. And then mix it all up. Everything is getting shiny. That's what you look for. Super easy. And then we're going to pour it onto our baking dish. It has been lined with parchment paper. Kind of a better option than foil.
Yeah, you never want aluminum touching your food.
Mm-hmm. Spread it around. I don't like it on top of each other. I like a little bit of burn on everything, and you'll see at the end what we're talking about, some char. So to that, we're going to do some salt. There we go. Just salt it all over. Some pepper grinding. And that's it.
This is and Michelle will speak to this a little bit more later on, but this is a recipe that Michelle actually got off of our Pinterest page. Is that right?
Yep. I put it on there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a little salt left over my hands. And then can you get the oven door? So that's it. That's all there is to it. We're going to put it in the oven. That's been preheated to 450 degrees. I am going to set the timer for 20 minutes. 15? 15 minutes.
Because at 15, we take it out, but then we add something to it towards the end for just a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the same bowl, I think you're going to do...
So we're going to take the same bowl where we mixed everything together. And we're going to start with some Dijon mustard. We're going to make a sauce to go over this once it's done. So about a teaspoon of the mustard. And you know what? You can eyeball this and adjust it to taste. I happen to like the mustard, so I do a little bit more. About a teaspoon of vinegar, and I am using a rice vinegar with citrus.
And if you don't have that, but you have some other kind of vinegar on hand, that's perfectly fine.
And then a little bit more olive oil, about another 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to whisk that together.
I've been looking forward to trying this. Just sounds so good.
It's one of my favorite sides because, number one, it's so fast and easy to prepare. So incorporating it, I recommend getting a tiny whisk like this. I use this pretty much every day. Now, there you go. That can sit there until it comes out of the oven.
So that's really just 3 ingredients for your dressing.
And that's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah, so we've got beautiful color. We have green and orange in the oven. And we have a 3-ingredient sauce. That's
it.
Doesn't get easier than that.
It's all Whole Foods. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so our intention for these classes is really as a resource for you guys to show you how, first of all, to eat real food, but how eating real food can be very easy to prepare, inexpensive, and not a lot of ingredients. You don't need complicated recipes, and I speak to that in each of your individual sessions, but it's really true, and we're showing that today. So the next thing I want to talk about is chia pudding. We've talked about this. We haven't done the recipe yet, but it's very, very simple. You can use this as a breakfast, fat, fiber, and protein. You can have it as a dessert, and I'm going to show you the basic recipe, and then from there, you dress it up any way you like to. So, chia is available. We have it in the bag from H-E-B Organics. But you can also get it in the bulk section. So you don't have to buy a big quantity. If you've never tried it before, you can just get a small quantity out of the bulk bins. We're going to start with just a 1/4 cup of chia. And then we have some unsweetened hemp milk here. Hemp is super high in protein, and it's really nutritious. It's a great alternative to coconut or almond milk if you happen to be sensitive to any of the nuts. It's not in that family. So it's a great thing to try. We're going to do 2 cups of hemp milk. And honestly, this is the basic recipe, 2 ingredients. But from here, once you have this base, you build up and make it your own. So I can't use that. I'm going to use just stir that up, and what happens, the chia seeds begin to gelatinize. And it's best to really let it sit overnight, but from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a teaspoon of good vanilla.
Let's talk about the vanilla. There's the pure vanilla extract versus the imitation vanilla extract.
Yes.
There's a huge difference.
There is a huge difference. There's a huge difference in the alcohol content. There's also a huge difference in the sugar content. So you don't want to use, I won't say a name brand, but you don't want to use kind of the name brand. You want to look for a good Madagascar vanilla. They're a little bit pricier, but you're just using small quantities, and they're pretty pantry stable, so they'll stay in your pantry for a long time. And in my
experience, there is a difference in the flavor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you use the common brand, you will actually smell the alcohol as you're baking the food. You're going to smell alcohol. So if you smell that, that's a sign that you're really not using a good quality. You want to smell a deep, rich vanilla flavor, and you want to taste that deep, rich vanilla flavor. It really adds a good depth of flavor. So I just added a pinch of our pink Himalayan sea salt to kind of balance out the flavors a little bit, and the vanilla. So we're going to stir that. It's best to put this in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. There's no sweetness in here because we're using unsweetened hemp milk, but there's a lot of ways that we can add sweetness. You could, instead of using vanilla extract, you could use a good raspberry extract. You could even use an orange or an almond extract. Mm-hmm. Today what we're going to do is I have some organic blueberries, and I've just kind of muddled them. So I'm leaving some whole, but then I've kind of muddled and crushed the rest of them to bring out the juice. And that's really going to sweeten and flavor the whole pudding. And again, you could do this. This would be great with raspberries, strawberries, and you can even puree the fruit. Put it in a blender, get it really pureed, and add that to your pudding. There's really no rules when it comes to this. After you've got the basic chia seeds and whatever milk you're using, you add to it whatever you want. You could add nuts to this. You could add some banana. You could even add a scoop of your protein powder, the vanilla or the chocolate protein powder, to bump that up a little bit and give it some flavor. So once this is stirred up, and you could even add unsweetened flake coconut would be a great addition to this too, to bump up your fat. So that's pretty much done. That can just get covered and go in your refrigerator overnight. And due to the magic of television, we have one that is already finished. Same recipe. We muddled some blueberries, and you can see how it gelatinizes and it turns into an actual pudding. It's kind of the consistency of tapioca. It's really thick and rich and creamy and beautiful. The chia seeds are not crunchy anymore. This is just a great thing to have. So what you can do with this is a great breakfast. Chia seeds are actually kind of a superfood. They're the most concentrated source of soluble and insoluble fiber that we pretty much have on the planet. So they're a great way to bump your fiber up. They're also loaded with proteins and a lot of essential fatty acids, which are necessary. The blueberries, of course, add all of the antioxidants. Your hemp seeds adding more protein. So this is a great breakfast. You can even bump this up more by adding some nuts to it, some more fresh berries. But also, what a great dessert to have, after dinner. Satisfying. Just a few bites of this. This is really filling. So just a few bites is really going to fill you up and build you up as well, because it's very nutritious. So what are we working on next?
All right. Salad balls.
Okay, so like I said a minute ago, our intent for these classes is a kind of resource for you guys to show you how eating real food is easy. So one of my favorite things to do, and this is very Vegan Week friendly and easy, is to make salad bowls. And when it comes to, I call them kind of dump bowls, salad bowls, whatever you want to call them, there's no rules. What I always start with, though, is 2 greens. And this is another thing that we talk about in your individual sessions too, rotating out your veggies. Every time I go to the store, I buy 2 different greens. Today we have organic romaine and we have arugula. And we don't want to waste food or have it go bad. So if you buy those, you want to eat them for a couple of days till they're finished. But then when you go back to the store, buy 2 different greens. Maybe buy spinach and kale, whatever looks good that day. That way you're getting, fresh veggies and new things in your diet all the time, and we're not wasting food. So I always start with 2 greens. This is super easy. This is romaine. I'm just tearing it, throwing it in the bowl. This is organic arugula. And arugula is actually not a lettuce. It's part of the cruciferous family. So it's in the broccoli and kale family. So I start with lots of that. It's also a bitter green, which any of the bitter herbs, arugula, dandelion, parsley, cilantro, are great detoxifiers. They naturally detoxify us. So they're great things to add in the spring or when you're doing a detox. So this is the base for my salad bowl. 2 greens. To that, I just crack a little pepper, sprinkle a little salt. And the beauty of all of this too is you don't have to measure anything. If you don't like a lot of pepper, then don't add it. If you don't like a lot of mustard, play around with those amounts. A little bit is fine. And then once you have this, it's really anything goes. What do you have left over in your fridge? Today these are some of my favorites. Olives, super nutritious, also a great source of healthy fat, hence olive oil, things like that. So what I'm going to do, I cut the green ones. These are mixed. These are a mixture of black and green. So I'm just going to throw them in. Again, no rules. If you want 5, that's fine. If you want 8 or 10, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I happen to love avocado, another great plant source of protein, so great for Vegan Week. It's also loaded with fiber and a lot of healthy fat. That's right. So all I do is I cut it in half and I twist it. I ran my knife around the the edge, twisted it off. I'm just going to put half in right now. So I'm just scoring it a little bit, both ways. And you just kind of run your knife around the edge.
Or squeeze.
Or squeeze, and it just comes out. Just like that. So this is really just 4 ingredients, but look how much food that is. That's a lot. And if you had some leftover quinoa, say you made a big batch of quinoa earlier in the week, throw that in. Again, it's going to bump up your fat, and it's going to bump up your protein.
I've thrown in lentils into that, leftover lentils. If you're not on vegan week, you can throw in grilled chicken from the night before. Any meat source from the night before you can lay on top of that.
Yep. And I put the avocado in, so what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of lemon juice to that. Just to keep the avocado from oxidizing and turning a little bit brown. And this is really going to kind of play double duty. It's not just helping the avocado, it's part of our dressing. And, you know, we're going to show you another salad dressing, which is Michelle's famous, fabulous salad dressing. But to make things simple, often what I do is literally just squeeze the lemon juice, the salt and pepper that I already put in, and you drizzle.
Olive oil.
Olive oil, you can use avocado oil, you can use a walnut oil. There's many different oils to choose from. So again, to this, if you had red onion, you could add onions to this. You can add some carrots, cucumbers, anything you want to this. There's no rules. And a piece of fish, you know, any kind of, well, on vegan week you wouldn't add a protein, but you could add black beans or lentils, like Michelle said. That's a lot of food. And literally, I just dump everything in a mixing bowl.
It will fill you up.
Yeah. And the mixing bowl that I use in the evening is bigger than this one. So when you're eating real food, though, calories, we don't need to count calories. I mean,
there's nothing in
there might not even be 100 calories in this whole bowl so far.
But so filling and satisfying.
It
I feel
is.
like you've really eaten something.
Yeah, and that's a good tip, too. You know, we've trained our bodies through the standard American diet to really crave sugar and crave sweets and crave those carbohydrates. And the reason we do that is because we're not feeding it. You know, we're giving it all this sugar and glucose, but there's no nutrition to back it up, and your body just craves that. So when you can give your body things that are going to build it up and what it needs and all these healthy fats, it really helps to curb sugar cravings. This is one of the best ways to do that. Lots of healthy fat. The other thing we're going to do is if you have leftovers from the night before, say if you roasted some sweet potatoes a couple days ago and you have some left over, dump them in there. The Brussels sprouts and the squash could be your meal or your side dish for today.
Leftovers in that, dump it in there.
Yeah, so tomorrow you're going to put your greens in a bowl and you're going to put your leftovers of that, and you kind of recreate. You're eating the same food, but you're eating it in a different way, okay? And you're recreating a whole different meal from it.
And it justifies going organic because you're not wasting anything. And so while the initial sticker shock may alarm you, knowing that you're eating it and using it, utilizing it in a couple of different ways, maybe 3 different ways, all of a sudden it's like, oh, not so bad.
Yeah, but you know, I want to speak to that for just a second. We have this beautiful bunch. Look at this. This is organic romaine. We got it at H-E-B. It costs $1.98 for all of this. This is organic.
Well, there's more too. That's not all there is. There's even more. The heart, I didn't even touch the heart.
Yeah, and some of we've already put in there. So, what I like to do with greens also is not necessarily buy them in the bag where you have the plastic containers or the plastic bags. When they're in there, they've already begun to degrade. So what I like to do is go down that wall a little bit farther, and they have all of the bunched greens that are loose. They're much more fresh, and they'll stay in your fridge much longer. So I love to use those. And if you look at the prices, they're only about $2 or $2.58 at H-E-B. So they really are not expensive. The screen's going to black out. So, and greens is one of the places where you really do want to make an organic choice. You are eating the whole vegetable, so you do want to make the organic choice there. Are we at 15 minutes yet?
We are at 15 minutes on the Brussels sprouts and squash medley. So pulling it out. Okay, there's a couple of different things you can do now. We're going to add some raw almonds, raw organic almonds, and just sprinkle them right on there as much as you want. If you're not diabetic and fructose is not an issue for you, you can do some dried cranberries. That's a wonderful addition. We are choosing to do almonds today. They're going to go back in there. They're going to roast a little bit. They're going to add a wonderful crunch and just a really delightful variety in flavor.
And you've also bumped up your fat and your protein to this side dish.
Yes. Back in they go for 5 more minutes.
That is so pretty. And I love the idea of the cranberries for Christmas. I mean, how pretty would that be on a Christmas table? All the green and the orange and the red from the cranberries. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have 5 more minutes there. Let's address some of the questions that we get from you guys often. So one of the things that, just FYI too, this is our 3rd show. So please look at shows 1 and 2 for more recipes. We've also, in our last show, we addressed some more questions as well. But when it comes to real food, people often ask, where do I buy that? That seems to be kind of a big issue. Well, I am a huge fan of H-E-B. I think that H-E-B makes things simple. We don't need to go to Whole Foods and spend twice as much money for good food. I think it's just not necessary. We're all familiar with H-E-B. There's one on every street corner. And if we go in, what happens is we're all very used to going into the store. Our shopping carts look the same. We go to the same place. We look at the same thing. We never bother to look up, down, or side to side. So a couple of tips on that. Shop the perimeter of the store. That's where you're going to find usually the gluten-free section. You'll find vegan foods. Of course, the produce section is the largest section of the entire store. And that's pretty much open game for you, whether you're on detox, vegan week, or going forward. That's really the area you want to concentrate on. And you want to think color, white, yellow, red, orange, purple, and green. But H-E-B has their own line of organics products. They pretty much have everything from olive oils to vinegars to vegetables to...
Oh, we've got our mustard as H-E-B?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And they're very reasonably priced, like the Bragg's apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
H-E-B Organics has the exact same product and it's more than $1 cheaper. So take advantage of what H-E-B has to offer and shop the perimeter of the store. They have pastured eggs. Once you're past detox, you want to get pastured eggs. They have those.
Yes.
They're not expensive. They're not $8 or $10 a dozen. I think they're $4, maybe $5, and they often have coupons for them. They have an extensive gluten-free section. And they have these things on sale often as well. There's always coupons for these things. And the pictures are in your book. Everything that's in your detox book, the pictures, is available at H-E-B. The yogurt alternatives, the coconut-based yogurts, the almond-based yogurts. Going forward, if you're not sensitive to dairy, they've got whole milk organic yogurts, sheep's milk, buffalo yogurts. These are all available at H-E-B. We just need to learn how to navigate the store a little bit more and look where we're not used to looking.
Absolutely. Salad dressing. Okay, so I know I talked a lot about this during my detox class. This is a recipe that I use for my homemade salad dressing, and I'm telling you, once you try this, you will not go back to anything else. So
I actually tried it the other day for the first time, and I was hooked, and I can't wait to try it again.
Yeah, actually, it was. I was eating it, and you were like, "What is that smell? It smells delicious." Mm-hmm. That's how that conversation started. So it's easily it's a 2 to 1, so 1 ratio. So this is a tiny little measuring cup. I found this at H-E-B, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is perfect for my salad dressing." So that's pretty much just a 1/4 cup of the vinegar. You can experiment and try different ones. My favorite right now is a rice vinegar citrus. Now, that's not to say that later on I won't move to another one. I mean, it's just kind of whatever you want.
And we're using all these same ingredients in these different recipes. So we haven't bought different ingredients for different recipes.
Yeah, exactly. To that, it's a 2 ratio. So half a cup of the olive oil.
That's a little 1/4 cup measure?
Yeah. Yeah, HEB in their little kitchen section.
HEB to the rescue.
HEB
I say it all the time.
Always. 1 clove of garlic. Now, anybody who's not familiar with dealing with garlic, this is a clove. You buy it in a head. When you buy it in a head, you divide it up into the clove. You just take your knife, lay it flat, take out your aggression, and then I just loosely chop it. There's no rhyme or reason. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. It's to taste. So you're seeing, like, I make this right before I go to work in the morning. If I find that I don't have any salad dressing and I'm having salad for lunch, I just whip this up really quickly.
Is that 5 minutes already?
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Oh my gosh, this is so perfect. Okay. That's super exciting.
Beautiful. Don't put the nuts in when you first put this in the oven. They will burn. The last 5 minutes is more than enough, and your nose will tell you that the nuts are finished cooking. As soon as you start to smell them, you know they're done.
Woohoo, this is awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's so pretty.
Okay, now, on here, so if you can see that, some char is wonderful. If you go more charred than that, that's even better. Actually, we could even leave it in longer if you want to, but that's an example. So I'm going to let this sit for just a moment. We're going to pour it into the sauce that we've already made. I'm going to finish my salad dressing. So we have the vinegar, the oil, the garlic. This little gadget here is awesome. I impulse bought this when I was shopping at TJ Maxx, so just an example of you never know what you're going to find when you're out shopping. So I'm going to squeeze the lemon. Again, this is to taste. Now, we did use part of this lemon for one of Tracy's recipes. The rest is going into my salad dressing. This is great because it really doesn't get the seeds in there at all. It strains down in there. Pours in there seed-free. And trust me, I have tried doing it another way, and I get really frustrated because I'm like, oh, I got seeds in there now. So to that, herbs de Provence. Now, you can do an Italian seasoning if you want really bold flavors. I like it a little bit more mild. So I'm going to do about a tablespoon. I love this because it doesn't matter. You just pour it in.
But there's a secret ingredient in there. What is it?
The lavender.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you find there's other brands around, just read the ingredients. And the thing about the ingredient list is whatever is the first ingredient is that's the most, the majority of the ingredients. So there are herbs de Provence that have no lavender at all, and then there's some where the lavender is pretty close to the front of the list. So do that to taste. My preference is the more lavender, the better. All right, to make your salad dressing really creamy, you can actually leave it like this. Vinegar and oil with some seasoning, lemon, good to go. This is going to make it creamy, and this is just simply organic Dijon mustard. Again, HEB brand. It was kind of cheaper, so hey, let's go for that. About a tablespoon or to taste. There you go. Stir, stir, stir. To that, some Himalayan salt. Not too much. The lemon is actually going to add a lot of flavor. And then a tiny, just a couple of little peppers. Done. So as you're seeing, as I'm incorporating everything, it will incorporate. Give it time. Be patient. Keep whisking it. So what I do is I actually repurposed a glass container from another product that I had purchased earlier, ran out of it. I washed it in the dishwasher. What I do now is I use this little cup here to scoop it into my glass container. Into the refrigerator it goes. This will last me 2 weeks.
Yeah, and if you could smell this, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. You will not go back to anything else. Okay, so that's that. Now, back to my Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, and I love this because when you put the veggies in warm, they really absorb the sauce. But this is something you can either eat hot or room temperature. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been sitting out a while. Let's try this. Let's try this. This makes it so easy. I did this at home. Just pick it up, pour it in. There you go. How easy is that?
And see these little crunchy bits? They're really good.
Yummy. They're Brussels sprout chips.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to be unfolding. You know, I'm just incorporating. I'm getting all that saucy goodness to coat. You smell it? To coat all
It's
of
amazing.
this.
The
Hot
mustard,
mustard when it's warm, nothing better.
Yep.
Nothing better. Now,
come on, who doesn't want to eat this
Hope
on
you can
Vegan
see
Week?
this.
It's gorgeous.
yeah, and so good. And bada boom, bada bing. There's your side for dinner tonight. There's leftovers for your dump bowl for tomorrow with your greens, or even just heat it up tomorrow on the side.
So if we didn't use the olive oil and the lemon on our salad, then what we would do is just drizzle a little bit of this. Oh gosh, I get smell emission, right?
Right.
Just drizzle a little bit of that on
Yeah,
there.
it takes a tiny, it is so flavorful. I'm serious, like half a tablespoon for a huge salad is all you need.
So this will be gorgeous on its own, but add anything you want. And then tomorrow, when you have your extra greens, you make this again, and you add your leftover Brussels sprouts and squash. Gorgeous. Then you have your chia pudding for dessert. So you have all kinds of Vegan Week options.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very flavorful. You don't feel cheated on flavor at all. It's a flavor medley.
Yep, and it will build your body up. Look at all the beautiful color. You've got healthy fat, you've got protein, lots of fiber, and flavor.
Yeah.
All right, so we will see you guys next time for our next show.
All right. Bye-bye.